An Obama-appointed federal judge is stopping Florida from taking in more detainees at Alligator Alcatraz and ordering parts of the detention center to be dismantled over environmental concerns.
Well, things are getting rather interesting for Alligator Alcatraz. Not only has a federal judge ordered that expansion of the facility must stop and no more new detainees or illegal immigrants, she also has ordered that infrastructure start to be taken down. Basically, halt operations of Alligator Alcatraz.
This was preordained. Very much an activist judge that is trying to do policy from the bench.
And spoiler alert, Ron DeSantis sees this as a complete joke and operations will continue. So we are going to be digging into all of these new events. Now, before we start the video, make sure you guys please like this video. It's the #1 way you guys are helping this channel, but it also helps others see the videos as well. And people need to see what's going on with Alligator Alcatraz.
This is not going to deter us. We're going to continue working on the deportations, advancing that mission. We knew that this would be something that would likely happen, and we will respond accordingly. That have already been ordered to be removed by the current system, and yet the previous administration didn't want to do anything about it.
Okay, so I don't think you need to be a law expert to understand why Ron DeSantis is not taking this judge serious. When it comes to deportations, that is literally what the law is. If you are in the country illegally and Homeland Security or federal operations, they catch you, you will be deported. And the whole point of Alligator Alcatraz is to create an environment of detainees to get them due process and at the same time ship them away to where they need to be. So for a judge to say you can't do that anymore, it doesn't make sense. It's conflicting against the law.
Let's bring in Florida Attorney General James Othmeyer. So the feds have said put a stop to the expansion for now. You think you have the argument that we'll get it rolling again?
We do. This is a sham lawsuit. There's nothing about Alligator Alcatraz that comes close to the Everglades or infringing on environmental concerns. Thankfully, this judge's order is prospective, looks at future construction. Thankfully, Alligator Alcatraz is almost fully constructed. It can already house thousands of detainees. Deportations are underway, so it is fully operating.
Real quick, if you haven't already, make sure to please subscribe to my channel so I can keep you guys updated with Alligator Alcatraz and other stories just like this. Now, when you look at the actual court order, I will let you guys decide how you feel about it. It's almost a little bit of a contradiction, because at the beginning it says you can't do anything like add lighting or doing any paving, filling, excavating, or fencing, or any other site expansion. It's a little vague, but then when you scroll down, it says the injunction does not prohibit modification or repairs to existing facilities solely for the purpose of increasing safety or mitigating environmental risks. So I hope you can see how this could create a little bit of a problem. If there is a need to expand something in order to create a repair to make something safe for the illegal immigrant, you are now breaking the court order technically, which is why Ron DeSantis and the Attorney General are not taking this order serious at all.
We're not going to be deterred. We're totally in the right on this. But I would also note, because of the success of Alligator Alcatraz, there's demand for more. So I did announce that we are going to be opening another facility right outside of Jacksonville in Baker County, and we've called that the Deportation Depot. And so that is something that will be able to hold another 2,000. There's an airport close by, and so you have the processing and then the removal.
And without a doubt, that facility will probably have court orders against it and protesters. Now, speaking of protesters, what I find rather interesting is that for how remote Alligator Alcatraz is, you still have a ton of protesters who show up. I mean, they even brought a bus in this video. Check it out.
Look at all the protesters for Alligator Alcatraz. All these people out here to protest this shit.
Protest the illegal immigrants that have crossed our country and have killed and raped many American citizens.
Right. Never mind.
Trafficking drugs, all this.
All that shit.
Look at this.
Paid protesters. These people out here. Look at them.
Got tents and shit.
Trump won! Trump won!
full disclaimer, I don't know if these are paid protesters, but what I will say is it definitely takes a lot of money and cooperation to get a bus to show up and drop people off. And as you can see in the background, there were a ton of people here. I mean, look at all these vehicles on the side. Look at all these protesters. So yeah, again, I just want to point out, Alligator Alcatraz really is in the middle of the Everglades, in the middle of nowhere, but they still are facing protests nearly every single day.
This judge says that no additional detainees can be taken to Alligator Alcatraz from this point on, and that the state must start shutting down this facility. The judge also said in a ruling that lighting from some of the buildings at this facility are impacting the Florida panther. So can Alligator Alcatraz operate right now with this ruling in place?
Well, it seems like right now, at least for the next, 60 days or so, they can, and they're going to appeal this immediately, so probably overruling this judge. But what makes this so, kind of ridiculous in so many respects is, as you've reported before, this was already an airport run by the state.
When it comes to building a new facility anywhere in the United States, you do have to take into consideration environmental impacts, especially, let's just say, a new power plant is going to be built right in the middle of like the Grand Canyon or somewhere in your neighborhood. There has to be an environmental impact test, or just to make sure this is not going to destroy the area. But when it comes to Alligator Alcatraz, that was done, and not only that, there is already a facility there, which means Alligator Alcatraz just built on top of the facility since there was already this environmental impact put in place. But regardless of all of that, Ron DeSantis is like the one governor out of all of the governors in Florida who's really given back the most to environmentalists, especially in the Everglades.
So the idea that the Panthers all of a sudden are impacted because they made it from an airport to a prison is just utter nonsense. And the Panthers, I don't know, directly, but I expect they don't care if it's a prison or an airport. But also what's really important is this is being brought by an environmental group that's called, one of the groups is Friends of the Everglades, and they're supposed to be raising money for the environment, and instead they're raising money from their donors to sue on behalf of illegal immigrants, because there's no reason to think this has any environmental impact. The storks don't care, the Panthers don't care, they're not impacted, and there's probably certainly a better use of their money if they actually cared about the environment. But again, it's all politics, and we've seen it many times before. But
okay, so here's the thing. I do agree in this case that the environmental impact is very questionable, especially talking about one species overall when there is already a facility there. But I also do want to say this. I think a lot of times Republicans are not the greatest at making people aware that Republicans do actually care about the environment. I think there is this really big stigma with Republicans and conservatives that they never cared about the environment. That's not the case. Republicans and conservatives, generally speaking, do care about the environment, but within reason and with actual facts. So I do want to point that out. When it comes to Alligator Alcatraz, I am on the side of there is already a facility there, and it is rather fishy that now all of a sudden you have environmentalists who are suing when the facility was already there.
Governor DeSantis is right. They have the resolve. The Trump administration has the resolve. And now after the big, beautiful bill, they have the money. So they're going to detain people. And the illegal aliens aren't going anywhere other than home. So it's not going to ultimately have a big impact. But the suit is utter nonsense. The whole issue is whether they did a federal environmental review, because it used to be a state facility. And now the plaintiffs are saying it's now kind of a federal facility because they're federal inmates. But there's no environmental difference here. So ultimately, I think they'll win in the courts, and secondarily, people are getting deported anyway. It's not going to stop President Trump, not stop Governor DeSantis.
So this happens a lot, and a lot of activist groups can really exploit it, where you have federal, state, and private, sort of everyone overlapping on one facility. The question is, who has jurisdiction? And typically speaking, if federal is there, whether state and private, typically speaking, federal will always have the jurisdiction over this facility. So this is what he's trying to make the point that these environmentalists know that there's a lot of money within the Trump administration. They're just trying to gain money from the system and exploit what's going on over here.
The ruling from Judge Williams is a victory for local control and freedom, for local communities, for our environment, our natural resources, and for all of the advocates who have worked so tirelessly to get this facility closed.
Now, I'm sure some of you are scratching your head and asking, why is that mayor saying this is a complete win, and why is she implying this facility will be shutting down? If you are not subscribed to my channel, this is a very common theme, where a judge will make an order, protesters or elected officials will make it seem like that's it, the fight is over, we won, and in a few days, or I'm sure in the very near future, we will get an appeal in the court that the Trump administration is allowed to operate and own and keep running Alligator Alcatraz. So this happens all the time. This is why Ron DeSantis doesn't seem to care, or the Attorney General. So really, make sure to subscribe to my channel so I can keep you guys updated with this. When I make these videos, oftentimes breaking news will actually happen in the middle of my filming or editing, and it turns out as I was filming, Representative Addison McDowell, Republican from North Carolina, introduced the Alcatraz Act, which seeks to open more detention centers like Alligator Alcatraz across the country and end Biden's disastrous and wasteful shelter and service programs. Now again, I am just finding out about this. If you guys want to go look into this bill, take a screenshot, you can read it. But Alligator Alcatraz has really been this catalyst to other facilities being opened up in support with these deportation operations. And on the flip side, a lot of people who don't support this, we've seen a lot of outreach groups, a lot of protesters. Pretty much anybody who doesn't support deportations definitely does not support Alligator Alcatraz.
In Florida, everybody likes the job President Trump is doing on immigration enforcement, and we're going to continue helping him to achieve his goals.
It is curious that the lawsuit was brought on the basis of environmental concerns and not necessarily, how the prisoners are being treated or the wisdom of deporting all of these people who crossed illegally.
Yeah, this lawsuit is focused on their allegation is that we're failing to adhere to certain federal environmental regulations, but this is state land and it is a state-run facility.
For those of you that are not aware, lawmakers have gone into Alligator Alcatraz, they have inspected it, and they have come out and said, yeah, inside Alligator Alcatraz, things are not that great for the illegal immigrants, but that is a good question. Why is nobody suing on behalf of these illegal immigrants? If I had to take a guess, I don't think lawmakers want to be the one to stick their neck out when in the prison system within the United States for legal residents, there are some questionable facilities. So I don't think a lawmaker wants to have to answer for both sides. That's my opinion. You can leave yours down below in the comments.
Just like no Florida state jails have to go through this federal NEPA process, we don't have to either. So we're going to continue to fight back. We will appeal any rulings that we disagree with. Ultimately, this is judicial activism, trying to stop what the Trump administration is doing. We're seeing it across the country, but here in Florida, we will fight back and we will win.
And again, when you look at the track record for facilities like Alligator Alcatraz or other facilities that have been put into question as far as deportation operations and sending illegal immigrants there, it's not very often facilities lose any of their cases. Now, I will not deny there probably are facilities that don't have the greatest living environment, and I have always said I do think we should have oversight. That should be a thing. Yet with all of these oversight visits, we have yet to see somebody really sue one of these facilities and win, or have any sort of momentum within the court system to really stop the Trump administration.
That's the voice of Pedro Hernandez. He's on the phone with his wife calling from so-called Alligator Alcatraz. He said he was talking to anybody that was listening. Whoever can help us with what's going on here, we've all been hungry since Tuesday, Pedro says. He arrived from Cuba in the United States in 2006. He was arrested 4 years later and got a deportation order. In July, during a routine visit to ICE in Miramar, the feds scooped him up. It was the last time his wife saw him.
So here's where things get interesting. If you are unaware, there are a lot of complaints of what it's like inside of Alligator Alcatraz from the perspective of these illegal immigrants. And a lot of them are saying, the conditions are terrible, it's hot, we're hungry, and lawmakers have responded. Lawmakers have actually gone to Alligator Alcatraz to go and talk about the conditions, and really none of this has gained any traction, which is why, in my personal opinion, I do think the judge and other activists, they are focusing on the environmental impacts. But like I pointed out before, if inmates are complaining there's not a lot of room, a judge just said we can't expand, I'm sorry. So that's just something to think about. Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for being here. Leave your comments down below how you feel about all of this. God bless, and we'll see you all later.